Okay, let's go. I would consider this a good use of free will. Not the most flattering angle because my tripod's a little messed up, but we're doing what we need to do. Now, I know I'm the only one in this stream, but I just felt called to speak about the power of letting go. And how, after all this time, with all my pursuit of information, letting go has been one of the only things that has actually brought me peace of mind and freed me. And ironically, gave me the things I was looking for. So as people come in, we're going to I'm going to say, letting go ironically gave me what I was seeking. Oh yeah. Let's go. Might just be streaming to myself tonight. No, we'll give it some more time. I don't know why the thumbnail for the live streams are always so bad. It's something I do not understand. Nor do I understand how people are liking this, but I don't know if there's anyone here. That's the thing. No messages in the chat. Maybe people don't want to hang out with me tonight. There we go. We're getting some people in. Here we go. Oh, wait. That's because YouTube said something went wrong. Can you guys see me, hear me? I'm not seeing anything in the chat. YouTube is bugging on my computer with what it's connected to. Ooh, what's up, Tyler? What's up, Tell? What's up, Wings? Oh my God. New people. I love this. Where are you guys watching from? Tell says Australia. Wings, Tyler. Where are you calling in from? Connecticut. Let's go. Have you guys ever came to a live stream before? Illinois Valley. Okay, let's go. Well, I've been doing a lot of reflecting today. I've also been fasting. I've been trying to get a control on my impulses, right? And I feel like one of the easiest ways to do that is not eat. That's like the most like fundamental, foundational desire we have. And I went on this walk and I started listening to Alan Watts. And Alan Watts, this video, it like liberated me. It was just such an amazing feeling I got from that. And the thing that he said that stuck out to me the most was, you are already complete. This was huge. I feel like we spend so much time chasing things because we think we're not complete. We think those things will complete us. And he went on to talk about how we are just as magical as the galaxies, as the stars, as the tree that effortlessly bends in the wind, as the river that flows. He said we are a phenomena of life. And I think we need to allow ourselves to see life not as something to be attained or something to be completed, but something to be experienced. And he described it as a big dance. And we all have our own unique song and rhythm, and gaps in between our silence and our little ticks that make us us. Gigi, you love this topic? I love to hear that. I want you to drop a 1 in the chat if you have goals for yourself. If you have things you want to accomplish, drop a 1 in the chat. And after that, tell me what you want to accomplish. I'm curious to know like what goals you have. Case Grandy, how to let go but be proud of the past struggles and achievement that you have. That's a great goal. I think one thing that I've always reflected on when it came to being proud of my past struggles was realizing that it was a core, divine, necessary experience for me to have. Like, it was a necessary thing for me to get to this place. I would not be creating this content for you guys if I didn't go $80,000 in debt, if I didn't become one of the most low vibration versions of myself and have to move on from that and grow from that and become who you see before you. In the book Power versus Force, power is the high level energy. It's attractive. And force is the lower level energy. And when you can be compassionate for yourself and give yourself love and appreciation for everything you've been through, you start to become magnetic. Things start to work in your favor because you're aligning with life. But then there's the ladder to that. If you start to go against life, things will start to spiral out of your favor. Trent wants a new job. Wing says, you want to create subliminal affirmation tracks and sell them. Many more. That's a great goal too. I like that goal. That's specific too. It's nice to hear that you have clarity on what you want to accomplish. Now, I've got some experience in social media. I worked with creators. I have an Instagram. I have a YouTube. If you have a goal like that, where you want to create something and build a business and sell it, I always try and look at it from a unique lens. I say, hey, that version of me that wants to get to a new level is right here. But the version of me that is at that level is up here. So if I want to climb this gap, I need to realize that it's not about me focusing on this gap. The only reason this gap exists is because version A of me is looking at it. Version B of me will not even have that concept in mind. So if you have goals for yourself, you need to look at it from the lens of who are you being? And that reflects in our thoughts behaviors, emotions, and actions. Tell you want to start a plumbing business and the goal is to get more clients. Love that. Drop a 1 in the chat if my A and B metaphor was making sense. Drop a 1 in the chat if that A and B metaphor was making sense. This applies for anything. Give me an example and I can show you. Tyler, nice to hear that you got post notifications on. All right, Wings. The version of you that is selling more affirmation tracks is putting out more content, putting out content on YouTube, on Instagram. That version of you is putting out high-level content. So it's not just a chore where you kind of throw it up and pray it works. You're studying what works. You're putting in that 110% effort. That's the delusional part. When you like fully commit to something, you give 100% of your energy. When you give 100% of your energy, you are that person. But if we still operate with kind of fear and scarcity and doubt and procrastination, we're at a lower vibrational version of ourselves, just idealizing that version of us in the future instead of being that person now. Does that make sense? I got my chat up on my little tripod here too. Yeah, of course. Now, coming back to the power of letting go. It all comes down to the two spectrums of energy in a sense. Because when you're attached to something and you want something, you like suffocate your experience. There's this Buddhist metaphor of this little boy that found a rabbit and wanted that rabbit so bad that when he got the rabbit, he held on so tight, and he suffocated the rabbit. That is the metaphor for letting go. When we hold on so tightly to something, it is because we are at a place of lack internally. We think things will fill us up, but they don't. I want you to drop a 2 in the chat if you've ever had an achievement or gotten a certain car or gotten a certain job and didn't end up as fulfilled as you wanted to be. Drop a 2 in the chat if you've gotten what you wanted but still felt empty. Trent says, when I've been starting to feel love and joy for my new job, even though I don't have it yet. I feel a warm, strong feeling in my heart. What is this? And what do I do? That is a heart-centered emotion. Trent, you're giving yourself the feeling you desire now. You're not relying on that job to give you that thing. Right? Now, if you can give yourself that expression now, if you can give yourself that feeling now, you can let go of the need for that job. That's important to understand because it's not that you won't ever get the job. It's not that you're not looking for a new job. It's that you're going to let go of the tunnel vision and it will come to you whenever it happens. Tell, thanks for tuning in. Peace. Have a good shift. Does that make sense, Trent? That's kind of what Dispenza talks about is like when we can meditate and we can become present and we can enter that state, right? We can enter that heart-centered emotion that we want. That's where that like energetic communication comes from. So if we can start to sustain that and live that feeling, then we start to attract more of that to us. So if you actually start to live your life from a place of love and joy, you're going to find that love and joy in everything outside of the job as well. The idea of a new job might give you love and joy, but you also might find love and joy in your day-to-day routine now. You might find love and joy when you're cooking your food. You might find love and joy when you're going on a walk. You start to become a beacon for that information. You start to attract that back to you. That's what a heart-centered emotion is. It's a magnet. So when you can start to live in that place by letting go, because you finally have what you were looking for from an intrinsic experience, you attract these opportunities to you. But you're not latching on to opportunities. They're just coming to you naturally, and you can be like, hey, that's cool. That appeared out of nowhere. Let me do that. Right? Does that make more sense? Yeah, Trent, keep going. Literally, do not stop. Whatever you do, do not stop. Even if you get your new job, do not stop what you're doing. I'm telling you right now, that is the secret to anyone watching. Do not stop doing the good things for yourself. Because then you start to live life from a place of like self-referral, right? The joy you get is from doing good things for yourself. You don't need to go eat takeout to feel good about yourself. You don't need to get a new car to feel good about yourself. Because then you're always going to look externally for something. If you can start to live internally, that's when you start to become magnetic. Because you're not attached to external things. Everything you are looking for can be found inside. But yes, Trent, you're doing exactly what you need to do. Just spend more time feeling that emotion and start to live in line with it more, right? Don't do something that feels like anxiety and fear. Like, don't allow that emotion to dictate you. Find that love and joy before you do things. Yeah, Trent, of course, my pleasure. The connection's still moving. My laptop's a little messed up, but we're still navigating it. Coming back full circle to what Alan Watts was talking about. Like, we are complete. Like, we are not part of some like machinery. Like, we are part of nature. And if we like really can start to see that, we start to allow ourselves to blossom and unfold naturally. That was something he was saying in this video. He's like, a flower doesn't have to think to blossom, just like a tree doesn't have to think to sprout out of the ground. It just does because it's its nature. And I think that's one thing society has like forgot to pinpoint as important information is like we have everything we need internally. We have our intuition, we have intellect, we have community, we have discernment. These are all tools that make us a well-equipped version of ourselves to navigate life effortlessly. And that's one thing I want to do. I just want to live in that flow. I want to live in that like effortless, peaceful state of mind. I don't want to be bound by desires for things. I don't want to be bound by what society tells me my life needs to look like. I don't want to be bound by how I'm perceived on social media. Gigi says, I realize when I don't hold on to things, thoughts, or external outcomes, I feel more magnetic, and actually my manifestations are instant, which takes practice and definitely awareness. Exactly. Gigi, the word I would add on to that, to just highlight that, is allow. Like, think about it. The river naturally flows downstream. We're not in control of the river. All we have to do is get in with our little inner tube and float down the stream and enjoy the ride. That's the metaphor for allowing. Like, nature always takes its course. Like, you weren't in your mother's womb at month 3 like, hey mom, I think I'm ready to come out. I think I'm ready to come out. That's not how it works. You came out perfectly timed. That's the metaphor for allowing and letting go and just falling into a state of power, right? Like power is what it is. Force creates counter force, is what they say. Like, think about it. If you have to force something, if I'm moving a dresser in my room and I have to force it, that means I'm already going against a counter force. Like, I have to push against the 200-pound dresser. So, no wonder there's going to be resistance when something like gravity just is. Have any of you guys ever heard of power versus force? I might be skipping ahead here. Drop a 1 in the chat if you've heard about the concept of power versus force. If not, I can give us context from the beginning. Exactly. Yo. What's up, Kalechi? Sorry, I might be pronouncing your name wrong. Yeah, Wings, exactly. It's David Hawkins. Now, I try and consume this information and like come back down to earth with it. I'm like, what does this actually mean? Like, what does this actually mean for us? All right, Gigi says, I'd love to hear it. I haven't. Okay, let me use my brain for a second here. I'm going to start from the beginning, and it's all going to come off the dome, so bear with me. Everything is energy. Like, we know this. That's like the biggest fundamental shift in the last 100, 200 years, is realizing like we're not just stuck in some matter prison. It's all energy vibrating. All of this energy that vibrates is connected to a unified field of energy, right? This is like the source energy. It is where every single thing that has been created comes from. This is where a lot of spiritual teachers call upon information. The Taoism, it's called the Tao, right? In quantum physics, it's called the quantum field. It's this infinite source of energy. Like, it's all energetic potential. Now, we are even connected to this infinite field of energy. So, we have awareness, right? You and I are both aware that we are alive. This is us, all right? Here's our brain, our minds, and it's connected to this big unified field of energy. Now, this unified field of energy governs human behavior too, right? That's why it's called human consciousness. That's why we have things like the collective consciousness, because all of our minds are connected to this unified field. It's like the database for the human mind. Now that we have this conceptual understanding of energy and what it means for life and how we're connected to it, where do the concept of power versus force come in? We have to get distinctive. So I'm going to draw a line right here. Now, force, we're going to come at this from a bunch of different lenses, right? But force takes away from life. That unified energy that we're all connected to, it's consumptive, right? You know when someone sucks the energy out of the room? You know when you're super upset, you're super sad, and then it only makes everything else more sad? That's what force is. It's negative energy and it goes down, right? This is why we say we're spiraling. You ever heard that metaphor before? When your mind is spiraling out of control. All right, I want you to drop a 3 in the chat if I'm making sense so far. On the power versus force concept, am I doing a good job describing it? Is it making sense so far? Let's go wings. Let's go ASDF. I double check. Those are the 4 keys in the middle of the keyboard. Gigi, is this making sense? Now, this force keeps us stuck, right? It's like lower level energy. It's all right. You guys understand this now. Just remember a unified field of energy. All right, Gigi, good. Anger. Can't spell. Fear. Guilt. Shame. If life ever feels like this, it's because we're in a lower level state. And guess what? The secret to getting to the higher states, it's the theme of this video. Someone guess what the only way to the higher states are? Let go. ASDF is like, who are you people and what's the point of this? We're just here for a good time. No reason. Just living. Doing what we do. These higher level energies support life. Drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever met someone magnetic. Have you ever met someone magnetic where you just meet them and look them in the eyes and you're like, oh my God, they got something special about them. You could feel them walk in a room. People might consider them lucky. This energy is attractive. You get it now? When everyone's like, don't chase, attract. That's this. This is just the science behind it. Look at this is what chasing is. Because why would someone chase? They're in a state of lack. When you attract something, you're fulfilled. You're full. Yeah, it's 100% okay to chase. Like, we're not like perfect. Yes, it's so good to be motivated and pursue goals, but you have to set your intention in this way. When Joe Dispenza says things like, feel the love, feel the joy, feel the peace, this is why he says that. Because it's powerful. This energy is expansive, right? Drop a 1 if we're making sense so far. Does anyone have any questions? I want to make sure everyone's on the same page. Trent says to stay in heart coherence. Exactly, ASDF. Joe Dispenza is legit. He has that attractive energy because he's powerful. You think he's trying to force his information down your throat. You think he's angry when he gets a negative comment. You think he's afraid that this isn't going to work. You think he has any guilt or shame for what he does? No, because everything he does supports life. And look what happens when you do things that are life supportive. Power. It's called life affirming energy. Now, I agree with ASDF. It's okay to chase sometimes if you really want it, but you're probably going to learn a lesson because if you're attached to that outcome, that's force. And when you have force, you're going to experience resistance. And if we persist in that state of resistance, we will continuously have that stressful attached experience. When you let go and detach, everyone right now, tell me why detaching is so powerful. Why would detaching and letting go be such an important thing to do? Detachment is wholeness. Wholeness is when you don't need anything. Drop a ASDF says if you detach, then you will be more grounded, independent, and less prone to manipulation. 100% because you're rooted in your values. You're rooted in truth. Power in this book by Dr. David R. Hawkins is the presence of truth, right? Love, joy, and peace. That's what this life is about. That is the truth. Anxiety, fear, and shame is the absence of that truth, which is why it's so important. You can live in alignment with higher principles, and that will impact your life for the better in such a positive way. But coming back full circle to being attractive, this is why it's important to make these decisions for yourself. Don't flaunt them. You don't need to be this person for approval. You don't need to be this person so people see you in this light. You need to be this person because it's the proper way to live. Think about it. When you have discipline, what book did you try and read? The only way you can verify this information is to actually live it. When you actually experience these things in your life through awareness, it will make sense. It will give you context for how it applies to our life. But 95% of people are caught up in a subconscious program fed information by media. So there will never be any frame of context for this information unless you experience it on the first hand. I've experienced this multiple times. I had a clothing brand, and when I was going in debt, I was in this state of force. I was in this state of fear, shame, anxiety, guilt. I didn't want to see that crash. But I took my clothes and went downtown to where the homeless live, and I donated a bunch of clothes. I just had to give. I had to put myself in that energy. Now, I was walking down with the homeless, and I was out there with my brothers, and a few of them started to freak out. What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. You're going to take advantage of us. And I just stopped. And I was like, we are here for you. We have no ill intention. All we want to do is support you, give you clothes, give you some water. And he became a human again. I kid you not, I watched this person go from a subconscious program and being consumed by his anger, fear, shame, and guilt to immediately snapping back into the present moment, being human. And then he looked at me and he had a big sigh of relief and he's like, thank you so much. Like, you didn't have to do this. That's what power is. Power is being rooted, it's being grounded. I don't know how it's BS and quackery when the general theme is be a good person. You got to read between the lines. What's attractive is truth. Like, that's why people are exposed to when someone walks in a room and you can kind of feel like they're trying to finesse you. You're like, you have bad intentions. Your gut feels that because we're all connected to the same energetic database. Versus when someone actually has your best intention in mind, you can feel that too. You feel that positivity. You feel that connection. You feel that presence. This is such powerful information if you can learn to apply it in your life. Drop a 5 in the chat if this is making sense. Drop a 5 in the chat if this is making sense, ladies and gentlemen. I wrote down in red here. Detaching, ironically, gave me everything I was seeking. ASDF says, follow the scientific method all the time. Or are you saying following the scientific method is the quackery? I actually agree with that. Logic, in other words, is only half the experience. It's like both hemispheres of the brain. Oh my God. No, I get what you're saying. But the scientific method is a human-made concept. Rafa, what is up, my friend? I'm going to have to kindly challenge you on the scientific method. Because science is a measurement of matter. Can the scientific measure the amount of love you have for your child? Can the scientific method measure human principles? Can it measure sacrifices made for life? That's the only place where I would say we need to transition more towards like an intuitive and spiritual way of life. Trent says, how would you keep your energy and awareness to the best potential through the day? One, I always encourage meditation. Like today, I started meditating for more than 60 minutes. Like I'm pushing up my time to as long as I can. Like I'll do 30 minutes, then 30 minutes in the morning and then in the afternoon. And I'll keep like stacking it. That's because if I want to keep my energy and awareness on the best potential and the positivity, I need to be able to observe my thoughts. I need to be able to consciously observe them. That is important because you're more likely to fall back into a subconscious program, which is the negative thoughts. The negative thoughts are what keep you focused on not your potential. I agree, ASDF, 100%. I hope you don't mind me calling you ASDF. But it's a game of back and forth. That's where the liberation is. When we can accept that there's a scientific view of life and there's a spiritual one or an energetic one that is beyond things we can measure, this is non-duality. And non-duality is how we overcome, quote unquote, good and bad. Is me cheating on my diet good or bad? Well, it's good because you had balance, but it's bad because you set a goal. And that's completely okay. You see how accepting both sides of the coin gives you freedom? It like breaks the chain. You ease the logical mind saying, hey, you set a goal for yourself. Let's do better about sticking to it. Then you also had the spiritual side of things where you're like, it's okay. Like things happen. Loosen up. Balance. This information is amazing. For those of you that I have here right now, what is some of your like favorite topics of information? If you've read Joe Dispenza, if you've listened to my videos, if you've read Power versus Force, if you've learned about detachment, learned about surrender, learned about manifestation, what are your most favored topics? What do you really enjoy? I want to know. And like, what types of videos do you want to see me create? What topics do you like? Do you want me to make more videos about Joe Dispenza? Because I know a lot about that as well. I've read a lot about the books. Quantum, field physics, and mechanics and theories. Let's go. Thanks, Rafa. Subliminal affirmations. Wings of well-being. Are subliminal affirmations like those like subconscious triggers that affirm the vision you have for yourself? My ankle is still pretty swollen from falling. So I'm guessing that was subliminal affirmations. ASDF, I completely agree. I think Joe Dispenza, when you can bring the scientific verbiage down to earth for people and like really help them understand the mechanics of what's going on in the biology and the chemistry of our bodies, is priceless for humanity. Priceless information. Of course, I know who Bashar is, Rafa. Subconscious reprogramming in general Of course. Dr. Joe Dispenza is the uncle I wish I had. I love to hear that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, going to be doing a shorter stream tonight, but I will be back on the whiteboard tomorrow, live streaming again Tuesday around 5:36ish, the same time. I'm hoping to see all you guys there. I have a great time doing this as always. I always like to hop on the whiteboard and make content and do lives as I'm learning information in my own life and aiming to grow as a person. So I appreciate you tuning in with me. I appreciate you showing love. ASDF, I appreciate the conversation. Wings of Well-Being, I appreciate you for being so attentive. Trent, I appreciate you being so inquisitive. Rafa, I appreciate the support. You showed a lot of love last time. If you've got nothing going on tomorrow, come hang out with me. I'll see you in the next one. Have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.